really fascinating to me is something that's emerged as almost difficult to fully understand, which is it's unbelievable that life is as basic as how do you see it. For me, I've been saying a lot lately and have always to a lot of people close to me a statement that says you find what you're looking for. If you're looking for negativity, it's very easy to find. If you're looking for positivity, it's very easy to find. If you think it's going to be successful, you start to see signals that lead to that. And if you think it's going to fail, you'll see that. If you're cynical and a pessimist, that's what you see. If you're optimistic and positive, that's what you're going to see. And really the vulnerability to the way I roll, which is optimistic and positivity, is you could become delusional. It's not practical. You think you can just dream it into success. You don't understand the requirements and the costs and the sacrifices that are needed to actually get somewhere. I think the biggest thing that I've been spending time on lately from a perspective standpoint is we are all now affected by the last 10 to 15 years of entrepreneurship. And when we look at stories like Facebook or WeChat or Uber or Weibo, we see these extreme, monstrous successes, and they cloud the fact that for the 15 companies that actually got to billions in revenue and actually run actual businesses not predicated on venture capital, there's 80 trillion businesses that didn't, and we spend all our time fascinated on these enormous victories without spending our time on practicality. And so for me, what I really wanted to establish in this talk today is a couple things. One, the macro perspective I believe that I'm seeing in people that are succeeding. And when I say succeeding, I think an important part of perspective in today's day and age is I believe that the way we define success is fundamentally broken in human society. We are spending way too much money, way too much time on putting money on a pedestal and way little amount of time and energy into putting happiness on a pedestal. The amount of millionaires, people that make millions, 10 millions, hundreds of millions of dollars a year that I know that are disproportionately unhappy is staggering. And I really, really, really am passionate about getting a conversation into the ecosystem of like, why are you here? Like, why are you actually here today? What are you trying to accomplish? And do you have enough self-awareness and understanding about yourself to know what you're trying to achieve? Because I promise you, over this last decade, interacting with people at scale, publicly and privately, what's very obvious to me is that an enormous amount of people are trying to get success to put makeup around their actual insecurities, and they're spending all their time trying to make money to hide what's actually happening. They're trying to prove something to somebody else, not to themselves, and no level of you finding a path to making money is going to solve that issue. And so I think that we're living through a very, very remarkable time in our society where this device can really be an unlock to an enormous amount of things, but I don't think people actually know where they're going. And that's something that I've become unbelievably fascinated with. One of the biggest reasons I've found myself talking more about mindset and perspective and things of that nature was I spend every day putting out content that shows people exactly what to do with their personal brand or their business to be successful. And yet, people don't take advantage of the current state of the internet to achieve their business goals. And after a while, I started to have to ask myself, why are people not doing that? And I didn't go into the lazy talk of thinking people are lazy or things of that nature. It all led to one big game of insecurity. The reason a lot of people here don't post every single day is because they're worried about the judgment in the comment section of what they post. I can give you every single tactic that is underpriced But if you don't have a foundational understanding of what you like to do and why, it's impossible for you to be successful, because we now live in a world where somebody will outwork you and take your piece. And there's abundance and there's plenty for everybody. But what has become very clear to me is nobody beats the person that loves what they're doing and is good at it, because they're just always doing it. What became obvious to me about entrepreneurship is I always did it, even when it wasn't cool or in the air like it is now. What's obvious to me today is there's so many people that want to be entrepreneurs because it is cool today, and it's actually not who they should be. The amount of people in this attendance today who want to be entrepreneurs or start companies, who would be far more successful financially and happy being the number 4 in a company run by an actual entrepreneur, is staggering. That's not something that anybody in here who's delusional wants to hear, but it is still absolutely the truth, because anytime a pendulum swings, it swings too far the other way. Only 15 years ago, not going to college was not even in the cards, especially not in Southeast Asia. And yet now people are debating that and aspiring to that at scale, even if it has nothing to do with who they actually are. They've just created the perception that starting your own company and being an entrepreneur is the right or cool or awesome thing to do. The only reason you should be at this conference at all is for you to find a path to being content and happy, not to make an arbitrary amount of money. I want to make $1 million. I want to make 10 million. I want to make arbitrary. You're just picking a fucking number out of your ass. What you need to be doing, thanks mom, what you need to be doing is deploying the greatest game of self-awareness anybody has ever done. This is one big game of self-awareness. I don't want you to do what I do. I was a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old child who'd rather go and shovel snow and wash people's car and sell lemonade than go outside and play. I was a kid who never opened up a single textbook from 4th grade until 12th grade. That is not necessarily who you are. The biggest issue in our game right now is people thinking they have to fake it till you make it. Guys, faking till you make it was good when the internet wasn't around. Now people hear the bullshit coming out of your mouth. Every single kid that's ever tried to fake it until she or he made it in a meeting with me lost. Because I'm like, this person's full of shit, they're out. No, you don't have to be an expert as long as you don't say you're an expert. Do you know why I love Q&A? Because I'm not scared. Because I'm going to answer all your fucking questions, and if I don't know the answer, I'm going to say I don't know. And that doesn't make me any less capable of standing on this stage. In fact, it is the reason I can stand on this stage. Bro, we grew up in a game where people fake it to them. Thank you. Thank you. I know the world we all grew up in. I couldn't believe in social media more. I couldn't believe in Instagram more, but Instagram and social media is where everybody is faking it. Everybody's a PR agent of themselves. Everybody's showing the highlights. Social media is highlights. That's why I like putting out. The reason I started Daily V was to show you that it fucking was a grind. It's not private planes and parties and fucking Rolexes. It's fucking work. I'm just trying to figure out how I convince you to start actually making. I believe that producing content on the internet for you or your business is the equivalent of working out in the gym every day. There is no shortcut, but the results are there when you put in the work. I'm trying to figure out why you're not. That's how I've gotten into insecurity or keeping up with the Joneses, or why I'm mad at every goddamn parent in the world. That's how I got there. Because there is absolutely no lack of information if you consume my content of LinkedIn or podcast or Instagram. As a matter of fact, as many of you know, I yell all the time, don't listen to what I'm saying, watch what I'm doing. If I have a vlog, there's a reason. If I'm posting on LinkedIn, there's a reason. If I'm using more Instagram TV in my main feed on Instagram, there's a reason. There's a reason. And so I'm just unbelievably passionate about people figuring out the framework, and then more importantly, figuring out why they're not doing the framework. And then more importantly, what are you trying to accomplish? That's the question, because we have to accomplish happiness. That has to be the goal. And if you actually pressure yourself to be happy versus pressuring yourself to be a success, then you have a totally different conversation with yourself. Then you have a totally different conversation with yourself. And when you start doing that for yourself, not to prove it to your spouse or your siblings or your parents or the people you went to school with, then it gets really good. It gets really good when it gets really quiet. And it's super quiet for me. I don't hear the claps and I don't hear the boos. I just navigate. I love my process. I love the pain of being an entrepreneur. I love that it's lonely. I love the game. I just want you to love the game. Thank you.